The rosters for the friendlies are out, and let's talk about this real quick. So, welcome to the Africans. We primarily Canadian or African content because we wouldn't be the Africans, we can do otherwise. And the rosters for the friendlies are out. Now, it's very important to note that these are the rosters for the friendlies versus France and the Netherlands, not the Copa America. So, I know there are names missing. Some people may think, why are those names not there? I think it's important to make that distinction. So the names that we have who are available, we'll go in alphabetical order because that's how they're presented. We have Theo Bair, Moise Bombito, Charles-André Brim, Tejan Buchanan, Mathieu Choignard, Derek Cornelius, Maxime Crépeau, Jonathan David, Alfonso Davies, Luc de Foucherolles, Stephen Eustachio, Kyle Hebert, Junior Hoylett, Alistair Johnston, Ishmael Kone, Kyle Aaron, Richie Larea, Tom McGill, Liam Miller, Kamal Miller, Jonathan Osorio, Samuel Piet, Jacob Schaffelberg, Dane St. Clair, Ike Ugbo, and Dominic Zator. Now, what makes this roster interesting is if you try to break it down by position, it actually works out quite well. The breakdown is actually very interesting from the standpoint of where your players are. I think One Soccer has a nice breakdown of players and their positions as they were selected. It's a 26 to 27 player roster because they do have Swiderski, who is the U20 goalkeeper, who is in Porto, where they will be camping. And as a result, with that roster there, it's good to kind of take a look. But the breakdown is you have Grégoire Swiderski, who's the fourth goalkeeper with Thomas McGill, Dane St. Clair, and Maxime Crépeau. The fullbacks, you have Alfonso Davies, Alistair Johnson, Richie Larea, and Dominic Zator. Center backs, Moise Bombito, Derek Cornelius, Luc de Foucherolles, Kyle Hebert, Kamal Miller. Midfielders, Mathieu Choignard, Stephen Eustachio, Ishmael Kone, Samuel Piet, and Jonathan Osorio. As listed as wingers, Charles-André Brim, Tejan Buchanan, Junior Hoylett, Liam Miller, and Jacob Schaffelberg. And then Theo Bair, Jonathan David, Kyle Aaron, and Ike Ugbo. Now, the interesting thing to kind of break down here is the reality of, okay, what could we be looking at? I remember for a second I saw this. I thought I saw Zach McGraw's name, but it was actually Tom McGill's. The first thing, which I've seen a lot of comments and people messaging me, asking me this about this, yeah, they don't have much depth in the midfield. It feels like every time we have a conversation in terms of what is the depth issues that we have, what's the most concerning thing? I think it's fair to say that I think from a depth perspective, there's more plug and play type players you could find at the winger position and the forwards, as well as technically the center backs, than say midfielders and fullbacks. I mean, depends. Junior Hoylett is listed as a winger, but I think he's better suited as a 10 right now. And then Mathieu Choignard, Osorio, Piet. Piet's the only 6 that we have right now, and that becomes very problematic. There aren't many 6s coming unless you think Alessandro Biello at CF Montreal can develop into that over the next 2 years. I'm not sure if he can. It's probably why Aiden Morse was a very important type of player you're looking for. If you are one who thinks Shostaker should be playing further up the pitch, you need a 6. We even saw Herdman try Moise Bombito there. I think Bombito is better suited in that center back role, which now leads to the question of what do you play? Because based off the numbers, it does kind of balance itself equally as we broke down. I am curious to see what this looks like against first Netherlands and then France. I think the Netherlands will be a little bit more cagey of the two matchups versus, say, France. I think France could easily divulge into a up and down game with just lots of chaos. So we'll kind of see where it breaks down there. But I'm curious. I know a lot of people have been putting out their starting 11s, what that could mean. I think a back 3 is still possible, especially if you go Bombito, Cornelius, and either Hebert or Kamal Miller. And then you can then that gives you an ability to push either fullback Johnston and Davies, or you put one of them, you put Davies and Buchanan back there, and then you leave Johnson there. I don't think having Johnson as a fullback is the answer, and that is Alistair Johnson. But we'll kind of see how it breaks down. The other interesting thing would be the midfield depth. Mathieu Choignard, Eustachio, Kone. I think those 3, if you were looking for a trio, if Marsch goes for, say, a a 4-3-3. I think that would be my trio for midfielders. A lot of questions in terms of players who didn't make the list. You didn't see Jonathan Sirois, who has been struggling of late. Joel Waterman as well. Liam Fraser was a replacement brought in, so I'm not really surprised to not see him. Jason Russell-Rowe, it might be a conversation of circumstance versus actual playing. He has been playing well, but his club situation right now, I think some injuries up top, so he could really benefit from the minutes that he can gain there. So I wouldn't be mad at him missing out this window. It doesn't mean, again, like we said, the key thing is this is the friendly rosters. This doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be the roster that they're going to be using for the Copa America. But it does certainly narrow it down. Other players who maybe deserve a shout. I think Tammy Aluasi is too early for him. The depth at striker is too deep. I think Theo Corbiano, I think, could have deserved a shout, as is Jaden Nelson. I think Jaden Nelson deserved a shout based off his form over the last couple of years. Now, maybe this is a situation like on the women's side where they say they want him in better leagues, and that way they can accomplish and really evaluate him better. Could be. Also, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. He's a player, I think, who's filled into that wing-back role, who could give some needed depth in the fullback to wing-back role, as well as being very much attacking as a winger. I think that player could really develop, and based off of the depth, because again, there's no Sam Adekubi. Richie Laryea is supposed to be playing before they goes up, but the depth at fullback, you have to list Davies as a fullback here. I know we've had all the conversation about him being a player that you want to see further up the pitch, but what's the depth? If Davies doesn't play back there, you're playing Alistair Johnston, just returned from injury, Richie Laryea, or Dominic Zator. We don't have the fullback depth. Fullback and midfielders we're really lacking. Are there players that can come in? On the domestic scene, I mean, Nathan Saliba hasn't really come up, hasn't really popped off yet. Many people are still high on him. I'm still high on him. Reda Zuhir as well. Okello and Priso at TFC, we thought they would pop off a little bit sooner, but they weren't able to do so. They had opportunities to do it, but I think the environment wasn't conducive to it. Looking at, again, we brought up Biello, Alessandro Biello there. And there's some other midfielders, but we don't have a true six coming down the pipe. I think that's the most difficult thing to really say. If you had one, or maybe another all around that would allow you then to have Eustáquio be more up and down the pitch, that could work as well. But I think time will tell with this. Again, I don't hate this roster. This is his first one here. Can't really say trends or anything. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm pretty happy about this, guys. Let me know what you think about this roster. Do you like it? Are there players that should have been included? I expect to hear that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, we'll wrap it up right here.